Hello, this is Greg Maciejewski. This study is about semantic ambiguity. Research has shown important differences between homonyms, words with multiple unrelated meanings, and polysems, words with multiple related senses. However, there's growing evidence to suggest that there might be important differences among polysems as well, and this is something we investigated further in the study. Participants made relatedness decisions to target probe word pairs that were either semantically related or unrelated. We used ambiguous words as targets, and these were irregular polysems with unconventional, unpredictable sense extensions, metaphorical polysems with figurative sense extensions, metonymic polysems with conventional, predictable sense extensions, and we also used homonyms and unambiguous words as control. The probes were related to the dominant, more frequent sense of the ambiguous word, the subordinate alternative sense, or were completely unrelated. We conducted 3 experiments that manipulated the duration of the ambiguous target, and this was to examine the time course of access to the dominant and subordinate senses. In particular, there was some evidence to suggest that access to the subordinate alternative sense of metaphors might be more time-consuming. In terms of results, we found minimal effect of the manipulation of the duration of the ambiguous target across the experiments. There was also a large difference between dominant and subordinate sense trials for metaphors, but not so much for the other types of polysems. Now, moving on to specific types of polysems, irregular polysems were slower than metaphors in the dominant sense, metonyms, as well as unambiguous words. It seems that, like homonyms, these polysems seem to have separate representations that hinder semantic processing and is consistent with findings from artificial language learning paradigms. Metaphors were slower than metonyms and unambiguous words, but only in the subordinate sense. It seems that the subordinate sense must be generated online, either because it's not sufficiently activated out of context or not lexicalized to begin with, because it's so infrequent. Metonyms, on the other hand, were processed as fast as unambiguous words. It seems that these polysems have a single representation for all their senses, and this is consistent with a lot of research. However, our study doesn't really help to determine what sort of information that single representation contains.